Well, by 2002, you're 30 at the time. That's when you started doing comedy.
I started dabbing in comedy because a caseworker said I was funny.
Okay. You started doing open mics first.
Yep. Went to a place called The Pub right there in Morrow, Georgia.
Mm-hmm. How was it in the beginning?
It was fine. I told a story about my brother. I was a little nervous, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was just up there telling stories because everybody was like, "You a storyteller." And then I scoured the comedy club for about 6-7 months. I would go damn near every night to Uptown Comedy, just sit in the audience and watch comedians and say to myself, "You better than that. You could do that. You could do that." To get the motivation.
Mm. Did you ever have hecklers early on?
Oh yeah. Now I've never been flat out booed, but I've had some rough shows. I've had some shows I had to dig myself out of. I can Joan, a rag or whatever people call it. So I'm not the bitch you want to holler out at because I can come off the top of my head. I'm telling you now, don't come fucking with me if you don't want to be fucked with.
Mm. Okay, so you started out in Atlanta with mostly black crowds.
Yes. I'll tell you a rough night I had in Atlanta. So my friend signed me up for this open mic. I'm probably 6 months in as a comedian. And Griff, a comedian named Griff, used to host this night. But they would give the audience Nerf ball. If you didn't like the comedian, you hit them with the Nerf ball. Nobody told me that. So they said the next person coming to the stage, I'm cramping that night. It's snowing in Atlanta. My stomach hurt and my cycle on. And I look up, they's like, "Come to the stage, Mr. Pastor, who the fuck signed me up?" My friend Double D signed me up. I go up there and I'm telling a joke and I don't know nothing about these Nerf ball. And this dude said, I tell the first joke and he hit me right here in the top of my head with a Nerf ball. Well, I'm a hood bitch. You don't put your hands on me. I said, fuck these jokes. Ain't no nigga with no turtleneck gonna hit me. I said, y'all, let's rob this nigga. I got a steady ovation. I was so mad because when your Nerf ball hit even harder when you don't know it's coming.
Right.
And to hit me in my forehead, I said, do it again. Do it again. I'm going to show you how much I'm going to kill you tonight. I think he almost trimmed that collar off his turtleneck.
Well, you started off with black crowds in Atlanta. I did. But then at one point, you relocated to Indianapolis.
Yes.
And you started working white crowds.
That's all they had.
Right.
Yeah, it's called them mainstream crowds. And it was Morty's comedy joint. And boy, did that owner give me hell. He said I was a hood rat. I was ghetto. His 7 o'clock crowd would never understand the comedy that I'm doing. He did everything in his power to run me away, but I wasn't going nowhere. And, 20 years ago, I kicked his little ass. But sometimes you got to humble yourself when somebody got something that you need. And what I needed at the time was a stage to keep going because I moved from Atlanta to a place where nobody knew me and nobody gave a crap about me. In Atlanta, I had gotten to the point where I could just go and get a spot anywhere. I was new to this city. Couldn't get a spot nowhere.
Right, because by this time, you and your husband had 2 more kids.
I had already had those 2 kids.
Right, exactly, from before.
Yeah,
exactly. So you have 4 kids now.
Yeah.
Your sister had come out of jail, took her 4 kids back.
She wasn't in jail. She was just thinking she was off dope. She took her 4 kids.
Got it.
So I moved to Indianapolis with my husband's job. He worked at General Motors for 20-something years.
Yes.
So he didn't want to take the buyout when they moved out of Atlanta, so we ended up moving to Indianapolis. And so we moved to Indianapolis, a small town called Plainfield, Indiana, very white. I would drive all the way over to the other side of town to this more whiter place to do comedy and couldn't really go up. They open mic was not really, the club was pretty new. Their open mic was not strong. But even with the 8 people that came out, I went up there every week to do open mic. He would never let me on stage to do comedy when he was packed because the owner, he thought I was ghetto.